In this tutorial we're going to look at rendering. Rendering allows you to produce high resolution images of the 3D models, the virtual models that you've created on screen. Here we have a full assembly of the scooter, and what we're going to do is create a rendered outcome. Along the top, above the ribbon, you will see the option to hit an environment tab, and under environments you will find Inventor Studio. This is an inbuilt rendering package within Autodesk Inventor. Initially, you can press the render image option on the ribbon and simply hit render. What this will give you is an instant rendering of the presets within Autodesk Inventor, and here's one that I was using earlier. To modify a rendering, we have a number of options in the pop-up. First of all, we can change the actual size of the rendering we produce. These are set at preset background templates for desktop PCs. I'm going to choose 800 by 600 pixels. The camera view at current view means that whatever we see here will be rendered. And from the lighting styles we have a number of different options, and as we click on each of these we will see a preview in the window. Under scene style we can choose a number of different scene styles, and each of these have an associated datum plane where a graphic will appear. So for example, the XY ground plane should create a ground image which will render underneath our product. If we choose a render type, we can choose shaded or illustration. Shaded will give us a photorealistic image, and illustration a sketched image. If we now click render, what we can see is an update of the rendering taking into account those preset changes. Some of the issues that we can recognize instantly are that the wheels of the model are not sitting on the surface, and the image doesn't look quite right. So what we're going to do is close the render image option and modify a scene by creating a scene style. From the scene style option on the ribbon, the XY ground plane, which you see in the window here, seems to have the most appropriate position for the datum plane. An XY or an XZ will give us different options, as you can see. So we're going to choose the XY ground plane. If we right click on this and choose to copy the scene, we can now rename it to something suitable and click OK. Now right click on the new scene style and activate it. What we can now do is we can now play around with this scene suitable for our rendering needs. We have under type the option to create a solid color, which is previewed down here, and we can change the colors to different needs. In the second type we can choose a gradient, which will be a transition from the top color to the bottom color. If we choose image, under a preset number of backgrounds which we can add to, we can choose a background image. So in this instance we might choose this one here, and again that will preview in the window down the bottom left. In this instance we can see a border around the edge. To remove this we simply stretch the image to fit. In the final option we can create a fisheye effect in the image sphere, which will curve the background image, which is probably inappropriate for this rendering. Now that we've modified the type to an image, we can go to the environment. Under the environment tab we can change the shadows, we can create reflections, and what we can also do if we look at the model is to move the position of the datum plane below the model to take account of these lower parts. To do this, modify the offset. So if I enter a value of -40mm and hit enter, we can see that the datum plane is now moved below the product. So what we can do here is save and click done. We're now going to position the scooter into a 3D position. Select render again, and making sure that we choose appropriate lighting style and that we have our scene style selected, which is here test 1, we can choose to render, and we can preview what we have achieved. Rendering is certainly a trial and error process, but having rejected that rendering we can go back, we can choose to zoom in on the part, render again, and we can produce a completely different outcome.